The Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification Accreditation Body has its first certified third-party assessment organization. The board will certify more C3PAOs in the coming weeks and months. Matthew Travis is the first Chief Executive Officer of the CMMC Accreditation Body. Matt, welcome. Thanks very much for coming on the program. What is the significance of having this first C3PAO in the life cycle of the CMMC?
Well, hi, Francis, and good to be with you. We think it's significant because after more than a year of a lot of planning and building and talking, I think this is the first signal that we're breathing life into this CMMC ecosystem as we start to see the gears moving. And to use a crawl, walk, run analogy, we're still probably, this is a crawling, but I think it does signal that progress is moving forward, and we're really excited about it.
What's the vision that you have for the broad scope of C3PAOs? You've got one, more coming online, 20, 50? What's the scale look like at maturity in your view, Matt?
So I'll say this. First off, there's two that have been authorized into the marketplace. So I want to clarify that. And we've got a little more work to do on our end and on the Pentagon side to empower them to actually begin assessment. So while they're authorized to start talking to those DIB companies looking to be certified, we need to empower them with some doctrine and access to the IT system. But that should be happening in the next few weeks. And right now, we know that the scalability is an issue to look at because we have over 460 candidate C3POs in the queue. And so we work closely with DoD in the process of getting those C3POs assessed at CMMC level 3, and then finally authorized and, as you say, certified accredited. So we're holding off on putting any milestones per year as the Pentagon right now is internally looking at what some of the implementation adjustments might be made. But it's we're moving, and that's the message I want to convey: is that the gears are moving, C3POs are coming to the marketplace, and we expect assessments to begin later this year.
What are you hearing from the marketplace about what you're undertaking in this crawl, walk, run strategy, Matt?
Well, not surprisingly, industry is certainly anxious to get started. There's always been, I think, some uncertainty about, when is this really happening? Is this really happening? It is a phased implementation, but I think we're now at the point now where things are moving. And what we hear most from industry is there are still some issues that we need to clarify, which we recognize, and so does the department, as well as the cost burden is what is this going to mean to me, especially as a small business owner. And that's a topic that I know, especially with Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense Jesse Salazar, is taking a very close look at that.
What does the threat landscape look like to you right now? You're a cyber veteran. You've been doing this a long time. What's the trajectory of the threat landscape look like to you, Matt?
It's getting more significant or more sophisticated, Francis, and certainly more aggressive. And I saw this when I was at CISA, and frankly, just reading the newspaper say you don't need access to intel to see how that threat landscape has changed in the wrong direction over time. And so when I think about CMMC, it really is, I think, the very basic blocking and tackling that industry not only needs to, but would want to do, obviously protect, critical and control and classified information, federal contact information, but also to protect themselves. So in addition to helping protect the defense industrial base as a sector, I think businesses have a very acute incentive right now, given that threat landscape, to start investing in cybersecurity, regardless of CMMC.
It strikes me that the line of delineation is not so much whether a company can afford to do it, it's whether they can afford to not do it, given the level of sophistication and the increase in aggressiveness. Is that a message that you think might be helpful to you to try to soothe some of the concerns that industry has, Matt?
It is, and one of the things we try to do is help industry understand that threat landscape, obviously through unclassified exchange. But when you look at those, those cyber threat actors, the big four, Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, and those global cyber criminal syndicates, some of whom often affiliate with those four, their tactics, techniques, and procedures are certainly getting better. But what's frustrating is that we're leaving the front door, the side door open because we're not taking those basic cyber hygiene measures, those things that we often certainly encouraged and promoted at CISA. And that's really what CMMC is about. When you look at those 17 domains, we're talking about very basic things: the access control, configuration management, how do you know what's on your network? Those are the things that we're asking. We're not asking companies to invest in quantum computing. This is the adversary is coming through, the doors are leaving open, and as a first step, we got to start shoring up our house because they're going to get more sophisticated, and this is the race with no finish line.
We just have about a minute left, Matt. You mentioned your tenure at CISA. How does that experience inform what you're doing for the CMMC board?
I think it helps because, as you know, Francis, we're very much a partnership-oriented organization with really no regulatory authority other than over the chemical facility anti-terrorism standards. And so we had to make it so that the industry, federal government partners, state, local, tribal, territorial would want to work with us. And the CMMC AB, that's what we're trying to do too. Make the standard more understandable, more accessible, make the process more transparent. So when companies invest their time, energy, and money to join the CMMC ecosystem, that they're getting a return and that we're being responsive and that they understand they're getting a fair shake regardless what company they are.
Matt Travis, thanks very much for joining me. It's great to have you on the program.
Thanks, Francis.